Ethan, this is your company bonus, $5,000. Mark Lee's voice echoed through the spacious executive office, dripping with patronizing softness. He pushed a thin red envelope to the center of the desk. The bright red paper stood out harshly against the dark, solid mahogany surface. Ethan's gaze locked onto that envelope. It felt like an invisible fist crushed his heart tight, then hurled it straight into a block of ice. The project had pulled in $5 million in pure profit, a number that would make the company's annual financial report shine bright. He'd led his team through over 300 sleepless nights. They'd drunk mountains of coffee, skipped every family and friend gathering, and fought tooth and nail to snatch this high-stakes client project from competitors. Now all that blood, sweat, and sacrifice was summed up in this lightweight $5,000 envelope. Mr. Lee, is there a mistake? Ethan's voice turned rough. He forced his tone to stay calm, but the tiny tremor in his fingertips gave him away. Mark Lee chuckled, leaned back deep into his oversized leather executive chair, and folded his hands over his stomach, putting on the wise elder act. No mistake at all. It's exactly 5,000. Ethan, I know you've put in hard work. The company sees all your team's efforts. But you need to understand one thing, young man. Think big. Keep your eyes on the long term. What do you think landed you this huge client deal? He paused, leaving a gap for Ethan to realize the truth. It's the company's platform. It's the connections and resources I handed you. It's the Horizon Group gold name tag behind your back. Without this platform, who would you even be, Ethan? So don't fixate on small short-term gains. Money's only good enough to cover basic living expenses. The real priceless reward is the growth you gain through this whole process. Every word Mark Lee spoke pricked Ethan's nerves like a thin, sharp needle. Growth? Platform? Ethan wanted to laugh, yet his jaw went stiff, unable to even crack a smile. He thought back to all the brutal grind they'd endured. To get the client's core data, he and Ryan camped out at a cafe downstairs from the rival company for a full week, only grabbing 3 or 4 hours of sleep each night. He remembered Mia, the junior designer, sneaking off to cry in the stairwell crushed under crushing project pressure. He recalled the night they scrapped the entire proposal and restarted from scratch. The whole team huddled together eating cold takeout, cheering each other on, swearing they'd nail it this time. This so-called growth was earned by burning themselves out. Now every bit of their hard-won success was casually credited to the company platform, and Mark tried to brush them off with a measly $5,000. This wasn't just petty pay dispute, it was outright humiliation. Mr. Lee, during the project kickoff meeting, you personally promised 10% of all project profits would be split as team bonuses. Ethan lifted his head, staring straight into Mark's eyes, searching for a flicker of the old promise hidden in his dark pupils. 10% of $5 million was $500,000 total. Split 20 ways across the team. Each person would take home $25,000. That money would let Leo pay off the rest of his mortgage, and Ryan could afford a decent engagement ring for his girlfriend. Mark Lee's smile faded a little. He grabbed the clay teapot on his desk and slowly poured himself a cup of tea. Times change, Ethan. The company's overall strategy needs adjustment this year. Every department needs extra funding, so we all have to tighten our belts to support long-term corporate development. Besides, I said that back then just to fire up everyone's motivation. Look how well it worked. You all crushed the target ahead of schedule. That proves my motivation tactic worked perfectly. Today, Ethan finally understood exactly what empty pie promises meant in the corporate world. Some bosses' fancy future rewards didn't just fail to feed you. They mocked your hunger straight to your face. Mr. Lee, my whole team's waiting outside the office. Ethan's tone turned cold. Every single one poured their heart and soul into this project. They deserve what they're owed. Mark Lee sipped his tea without bothering to lift his eyelids. Tell them to widen their horizons, just like you should. Let them know the company never fails to reward valuable staff. This month, I'll tell HR to hand every member of the project team a $1,000 hardship stipend. That's all for now. I have a meeting to get to. You can head out. Ethan stood rooted to the spot, unmoving. He could picture all the hopeful faces lined up outside the door. Ever since the project wrapped up, everyone had been buzzing about how they'd spend the bonus. Some planned family vacations, some wanted new work laptops, others needed major home appliances. All those warm, ordinary life wishes were fragile bubbles, popped effortlessly by Mark's careless words. Ethan slowly bent down and picked up the red envelope off the desk. He didn't open it, just rubbed the smooth paper surface between his fingers. Then, right in front of Mark Lee's eyes, he tore the envelope clean down the middle, inch by slow inch. Then he ripped it into 4 pieces, 8 pieces. Shredded red paper fragments fluttered down like broken butterfly wings, scattering across the polished office floor. Mark Lee's face darkened instantly. He shot upright, anger flashing in his eyes. "Ethan, what is the meaning of this?" Ethan straightened up, a smile finally tugging at his lips, but there was zero warmth in it. "Nothing complicated, Mr. Lee. Just thought your pie promises are way too big. I'm afraid my guys won't be able to digest them." With that, he didn't spare Mark a single glance, turned and pulled the heavy office door wide open. The entire core project team stood lined up in the hallway. The overhead hallway lights stretched their long shadows across the floor. All heads snapped toward Ethan the second he stepped out. Ryan, the team's second in command, rushed over first, urgent excitement in his voice. "Ethan, how'd it go? What did the CEO say?" Ethan looked over all those familiar faces, young, ordinary, but his most trusted battle partners. He took a deep breath, then slowly held up 5 fingers. Every team member held their breath. Ryan's eyes lit up instantly. He thought it meant 500,000. 5. Ethan shook his head, then used all his strength to say 3 clear words. $5,000. Dead silence crashed over the whole hallway in an instant. The silence broke into suppressed outrage seconds later. 5,000. Did I hear that right? Just $5,000. A young back-end programmer couldn't believe his ears. "You've got to be kidding me. We pulled almost a full year of overtime, and that's all we're worth. That doesn't even cover all the coffee we bought during all-nighters." Ryan had the hottest temper on the team. He grabbed Ethan's arm tight, eyes red with frustration. "Ethan, this can't be a joke. It's not funny at all." Ethan patted his hand away, his tone frighteningly calm. "I'm not joking. Mr. Mark said it himself. 5,000 total for me, 1,000 each for every one of you. He also told us young people need to think bigger." That phrase, "think bigger," flipped a switch, igniting everyone's rage. To hell with thinking big. My mortgage doesn't care about my big picture mindset. All he ever talks about is dreams and dedication, but when it's time to pay up, he rants about perspective. That's just plain exploitation. I finally see the truth. At this company, we're just computers with legs. Work them to the bone, then toss them aside once the job's done. Mia, the team's usual cheerful, lighthearted designer, had tears welling in her eyes. "I was going to use my bonus to get a better hearing aid for my mom. Guess that's never going to happen now." Listening to everyone's complaints and crushed hopes, Ethan's heart felt sliced open with a knife. He was their team lead. He'd given them hope, only to hand them crushing disappointment today. He knew now wasn't the time for yelling and venting. "Save this discussion for later. We'll draw unwanted attention." Ethan's voice stayed quiet but carried unshakable authority, instantly quieting the noisy hallway. 8 p.m. tonight, our usual diner spot. My treat. Every single person on the project team comes, no exceptions. After he finished speaking, he turned and walked straight to his workstation without another word. Everyone stared at his firm back. Even seething and heartbroken, they felt a strange sense of relief. They trusted Ethan, just like on every late-night technical crisis when he always found a way forward. Chapter 1. 8 p.m. rolled around at the city's busiest street food grill spot. A long wooden table held all 20 project team members. Grilled skewers and beer covered the table, yet barely anyone touched their food. The atmosphere hung heavy, like the calm before a violent storm. Ethan stood up and filled a full beer glass for every person sitting there. "Guys, this round's on me, and I owe every single one of you an apology. I promised you all back then, if we nailed this project, everyone would get what they rightfully earned. I failed to keep that promise." He lifted his glass and drained the whole beer in one gulp. The bitter alcohol burned his throat, matching the burning pain in his chest. Ryan shot up fast, grabbed the beer bottle, and refilled his own glass to the top. "This isn't your fault, Ethan. That man Mark's just greedy and cold-hearted." "Exactly. We followed you not for cash, but because we trust you. Mark tosses us aside once the work's done. We can't let this slide. Tempers flared high. Everyone raised their glasses and drowned a full day's anger down their throats. After several rounds of drinks, the tension softened a little, yet confusion lingered on every face. Leo, the oldest and most steady team member, set his glass down and sighed deeply. We've ranted and drunk our fill. What's our next move? The project's finished, but ongoing maintenance and Phase 2 development rely entirely on our team. Do we just bite our tongues and keep slaving away for that greedy old fox? Leo's question voiced every single person's inner conflict. That was the core dilemma weighing on all of them. Quit en masse? With the current tough job market, 20 people handing in resignations together carried massive risks. Every person here carried family responsibilities, mortgages, car loans, kids to raise. Stay put? That bitter unfairness would sit heavy in their chest every single day, forcing them to stare at Mark's fake, smiling face nonstop. The whole team fell stuck between two terrible options. All eyes drifted back to Ethan again. Ethan didn't answer right away. He silently cracked open another beer bottle and poured himself a glass. He knew every word he spoke next would shape the future of these 20 men and women. He had to choose his words carefully. I've spent all afternoon thinking this through. Ethan finally spoke, his voice low and heavy. I remember when we first took on this project, everyone said it was impossible to pull off. The client's demands were brutal, technical barriers sky-high, and the timeline impossibly tight. No one else in the company believed in us. People even placed side bets that we'd fail within a month and slink off embarrassed. But we pushed through every obstacle together. Ryan, you remember? To optimize that core algorithm, you stayed up 3 full days straight and passed out cold in the server room. Leo, you sat through 3 heavy drinking sessions with the client's purchasing lead just to dig up their real demand data, and ended up with stomach bleeding. Mia, to perfect the UI for user experience, you interviewed over 100 potential customers alone, your compiled notes thicker than a brick. Every time Ethan said a name, that person's eyes welled up with emotion. All those grueling memories they'd thought they'd forgotten felt raw and vivid all over again. We pulled off a supposedly impossible project not because of Mark's company platform or Horizon Group's fancy brand name. We did it because of ourselves, all 20 of us, locked arm in arm as one unified team. If we generated $5 million in profit single-handedly, that proves our own undeniable value. Value this cheap $5,000 bonus can never define. Ethan's voice grew louder, more passionate, a flame reigniting the fading fire in everyone's hearts. So here's my plan. He scanned every face around the table one by one. We're quitting this place. If this company doesn't value us, plenty of others will. Our entire team is a gold standard asset anywhere we go. I'll be straight with all of you tonight. I've already spoken with Matt Zhou, CEO of our rival Novatech. He's been trying to poach our team for months now. I guarantee he'll offer every single one of you at least double your current salary, plus full official project profit shares we're actually owed. Ethan's words hit the group like a massive bomb exploding. Everyone sat stunned silent. None of them expected Ethan to not only plan resignations, but already lock down a competing company as their new home. Ryan snapped out of shock first, slamming his palm hard against the tabletop. Hell yeah, I'm with you, Ethan. I've hated Mark's guts forever. This is our chance to get even. I'm in too. Novatech's the top player in our industry. Working their beats, wasting time at this dead-end Horizon any day. Most younger team members instantly voiced their full support. They craved change and fully trusted Ethan's judgment. Yet several others hesitated, Leo chief among them. Ethan, isn't this a little impulsive? Leo frowned, heavy worry in his tone. If 20 of us jump ship all at once, it'll make huge waves in the industry and ruin our reputations. Plus, Mark's got wide connections across the whole field. What if he sabotages our future job opportunities? Every single one of us here has families to support. We can't afford risky career chaos. Leo's worries echoed the doubts lingering in half the team's minds. The previously heated atmosphere cooled off instantly. Ethan looked at Leo, fully understanding his fears. Leo was the most grounded person on the team and carried the heaviest family financial burdens. He couldn't ask everyone to leap blindly forward just fueled by anger. Leo, I get exactly where you're coming from. Ethan softened his tone. I won't pressure anyone to follow along. This decision is 100% voluntary for each person. I'll give everyone 3 full days to think it over. 3 days from now, whoever wants to come with me will join me to build a new career at Novatech. Anyone who chooses to stay, I respect your choice completely. Our friendship as teammates will never fade because of this. But I'll say one thing clear. Ethan's gaze sharpened once more. Dignity is something you earn for yourself, not something handed down as charity from a boss. Today he can brush us off with $5,000. Tomorrow he can humiliate us with 500. A company that doesn't respect its skilled workers, a CEO who only serves empty pie promises. None of this place deserves our hard work and loyalty. With that, he lifted his beer glass high again. This toast to the years we've poured into this company, and to the brand new chapter we're about to start. This time, every single person stood to their feet and drained their glasses dry. Complex emotions flickered across every pair of eyes: rage, disappointment, hopeful anticipation, and fear of the unknown. A storm powerful enough to shake the entire industry quietly brewed inside this noisy street food diner. Chapter 2. The next 3 days brought an eerie, tense silence to Horizon Group's tech department. The 20 project team members clocked in and out, coding and designing as usual on the surface, yet barely exchanged a single word with each other. An invisible heavy tension hung thick in the air, every person weighed down by tangled private thoughts. Ethan never pestered anyone for their answer. He gave them full time and space to weigh their choices carefully. He knew this decision would shape each person's career trajectory and family's future livelihood. He kept working every day as normal, even staying later than usual to wrap up all leftover project loose ends, acting as if nothing life-changing was unfolding. Yet underneath his calm exterior, anxiety gnawed at him constantly. He felt like a general waiting for a verdict, unsure how many soldiers would choose to march with him into a new battlefield 3 days later. Ryan was the first to seek Ethan out. He slammed a signed resignation letter flat down on Ethan's desk and grinned wide. No need to overthink anything, Ethan. Wherever you lead, I'll follow. His straightforward loyalty warmed Ethan's heart a little. Shortly after, Mia and the other young team members handed in their resignations one after another. They all said the same thing. We're still young, we can afford to take risks. Sticking with you means better opportunities ahead. But Leo, the person Ethan cared about most, hadn't turned in any paperwork at all. Multiple times Ethan spotted Leo hiding in the stairwell taking frantic phone calls, his brows locked tight, as if arguing fiercely with his family. He also watched Leo get called into a private meeting with another department supervisor, returning with an even more grim, heavy expression. Ethan knew Leo was caught in brutal internal conflict. His family financial burdens weighed far too heavy for him to gamble on an uncertain career shift. 3 days later, 1 hour before office closing time, Ethan's heart sank to the lowest point. Only 12 team members had confirmed they'd leave with him, less than 2/3 of the full group. While this number exceeded his lowest expectations, a hollow sense of loss lingered in his chest. Leo's choice to stay behind felt like losing a vital right arm. Just then, Mark Lee's secretary walked over and told Ethan to head to the CEO's office immediately. Ethan's heart tightened. He knew the inevitable confrontation had arrived. He stepped into the familiar executive office. Mark Lee maintained his usual unruffled demeanor, pretending their earlier ugly dispute had never happened. Ethan, take a seat. He gestured toward the sofa across from his desk. The project wrap-up work you've handled lately is solid. You've put in good work. Ethan didn't sit. He simply stood quietly, watching Mark perform his fake pleasant act. Seeing Ethan refuse to relax, Mark dropped the small talk and pulled a document out of his desk drawer, sliding it across the desk surface. This is a new official promotion notice. The company's launching a brand new dedicated business division focused on smart IoT, the exact project we just finished. I'm appointing you division director, with an annual salary raised to $800,000. He paused, studying Ethan's face, clearly confident this offer would win him over. On top of that, all your core team members like Leo and Ryan will receive matching promotions and salary raises. So, does this arrangement satisfy you? Ethan glanced at the promotion letter and sneered silently inside his head. Where was this generosity 3 days ago? Now he pulled out high salary promotions to buy everyone's loyalty, far too late. If he accepted this offer, he'd become a traitor who sold his teammates out for personal gain. I appreciate your kind offer, Mr. Mark. Ethan's tone stayed perfectly flat and emotionless. But I've already made up my mind to leave Horizon Group. Mark Lee's face instantly darkened. He hadn't expected Ethan to reject his lucrative offer so outright. Leave? You're heading to Novatech, aren't you? A faint mocking edge slipped into his voice. Ethan, are you really this naive? Do you think Matt Zhou truly values your talent? He only wants to use you to crush Horizon Group. Once he extracts all your team's core proprietary technology, you'll become completely disposable to him. You'll end up cast aside as a useless pawn. Don't forget you signed a non-compete agreement. I can wave a single hand and blacklist you from every company in this entire industry permanently. Mark Lee finally dropped his fake friendly mask, revealing his vicious, threatening side. It was plain, unvarnished intimidation. Instead of feeling scared, Ethan let out a quiet laugh. Mr. Mark, you seem to have forgotten, when we signed that non-compete contract, my official position was only a regular project manager. Per the written terms of the agreement, you're required to pay 50% of my average monthly salary for my final year of employment as non-compete compensation every single month for 2 full years after I resign. I've run the math. You'll owe me roughly $20,000 per month. If you refuse to make those monthly payments, that non-compete contract becomes nothing more than worthless scrap paper. Ethan's gaze sharpened like a blade. As for your supposed industry blacklisting threats, they don't frighten me one bit. This industry circle is small, tight-knit. Everyone knows the full truth of what happened here. Public opinion will judge who's truly in the wrong. What's your industry reputation worth when you pay a lead team a mere $5,000 as a bonus for bringing in $5 million in pure company profit? Every sentence Ethan delivered hammered hard against Mark Lee's ego. Mark's face flushed red then pale, alternating between rage and shock. He never imagined this normally mild-mannered young team lead possessed such sharp logic and well-prepared counterarguments. He pointed a trembling finger straight at Ethan, voice shaking with rage. This is outright betrayal against the company. Betrayal? Ethan scoffed coldly. I only see the company breaking its word and betraying our trust first. Mr. Mark, different paths mean we can't walk side by side any longer. My resignation letter will be delivered to HR tomorrow morning alongside all my teammates' paperwork. With that, he ignored Mark's trembling, furious frame, turned on his heel, and strode out of the office without a second glance back. When he returned to his workstation, he spotted Leo standing beside his desk, holding a thick file folder. Ethan's heart twisted tight with nervousness. Leo's expression held complicated, tangled emotions. He opened his mouth as if to speak, then only let out a heavy, long sigh. He handed the file folder over to Ethan. Take a look inside. Ethan grabbed the folder and opened it. His eyes widened in total shock. Inside sat full backup copies of the project's core source code and all official design documentation. Leo, what's the meaning of this? Ethan's voice shook slightly. Leo forced a bitter smile. Mark pulled me into a private meeting this afternoon. He promised me the Deputy Division Director title and $600,000 annual salary. He said if I stayed behind to stabilize the remaining team and take over your role, all that would be mine. He also ordered me to find a way to steal all your project files from your workstation. Ethan's heart sank lower and lower. His worst fear had come true. Mark planned to split the team apart with targeted bribes, and he'd picked Leo, the most vulnerable family man, as his target. So you agreed to his deal? Ethan asked with great difficulty. He couldn't bear to meet Leo's eyes, terrified of hearing the answer he dreaded most. Leo didn't answer directly, instead firing a question back at him. Ethan, do you really think I'm that kind of person? Ethan snapped his head up and locked eyes with Leo. No greed or betrayal hid in those eyes, only sincere honesty and quiet guilt. Leo pulled a second document out of his pocket, a fully signed resignation letter. I won't lie, I hesitated hard. That 600,000 salary and promotion tempted me badly. My wife fought with me last night, yelling that I'm stupid to give up stable security to chase risky unknowns with you. But I stayed up all night thinking everything through. I remembered when we first joined this company. We were both clueless rookies, and you taught me every skill step by step. I remembered when my son was hospitalized and I panicked scrambling for cash. You handed me $20,000 without a second thought, then covered all my unfinished work for me single-handedly. I remembered all those late nights we pulled together, all the beer we shared, all the big dreams we rambled about over dinner. Money's a nice thing, but I can't abandon my conscience just for a bigger paycheck. I kept these full-file backups in case Mark panics and tries to destroy evidence to frame us for theft later. My resignation letter's right here too. Sorry I made you worry, brother. Leo's eyes turned red, and he clapped Ethan's shoulder hard and heavy. Ethan's own eyes stung with warm tears. He pulled Leo into a tight embrace, this older brother figure who'd always supported him through every hardship. Thank you, Leo. Thousands of unspoken emotions condensed into those two simple words. Yet both men fully understood the weight of trust and loyalty wrapped inside them. Now all 13 core members of the project team stood united, ready to move forward as one. They were 13 fully loaded bullets, locked and primed to fire. Their shared target remained clear: make the arrogant Mark Lee pay full price for trampling on their dignity. The big showdown was about to begin. Chapter 3. 9 a.m. the next morning, Ethan walked into the HR department holding 12 signed resignation letters in hand. HR Director Lisa Liu nearly jumped out of her seat at the sight of him. Lisa had worked at Horizon for over a decade and seen every kind of corporate drama, but a mass collective resignation of the entire core technical team was completely unprecedented. Ethan, what's going on here? What's all this? Lisa pushed her glasses up her nose, voice full of shock and confusion. Lisa, all of us are resigning together. Ethan neatly stacked the stack of resignation letters on her desk. Lisa scanned the familiar names printed on each page, every single one the backbone of the tech department. Her heart dropped sharply. She knew the company faced a massive crisis now. Is this a misunderstanding of some kind? Have you spoken this through with Mark? Lisa tried to mediate and salvage the situation. We've spoken. Ethan's expression stayed calm. Mr. Mark thinks way too big for us regular folks to keep up with his mindset. Lisa instantly pieced together the full story after hearing that line. She'd worked alongside Mark Lee for years and knew his character well. Over the years, dozens of talented employees had quit due to his cheapskate habits and empty future promises. Yet Ethan's team was the first group with enough backbone to walk out all at once. She sighed deeply, knowing no chance remained to fix this situation. All right, I understand. She picked up her desk phone and dialed Mark's internal office line. Mr. Mark, Ethan and the whole team just turned in their resignations. 13 people total, none staying behind. Silence stretched on the other end of the line. Then Mark's restrained, furious voice crackled through the receiver. Bring them all to the main conference room to wait for me. I'd like to see if they truly think they can fly the coop without consequences. 30 minutes later, the largest conference room at Horizon Group sat thick with suffocating tension. Ethan and his 12 teammates sat lined up on one side, every face blank, back straight and unbowed. On the opposite side sat all the company's senior executives and department heads, whispering back and forth, shock and curiosity plain on every face. Mark Lee walked in last. He scanned the entire room, his cold, blade-like gaze locking firmly onto Ethan. He skipped sitting down and marched straight to the front of the conference room, ready to host a public condemnation session. I've called everyone here today to share some terrible news. Mark's loud voice carried clear enough for every single person in the room to hear. The team we once celebrated as our company's pride, our core technical backbone, led by Ethan, is collectively betraying Horizon Group to jump ship for our direct competitor. A collective murmur of shock rippled through the whole room. Staff, unaware of the full story, shot Ethan judgmental, confused glares. The word betrayal carried extremely heavy weight. Mark Lee was satisfied with the negative reaction he'd stirred up and continued his dramatic, pained speech. I've treated Ethan incredibly well, I'm sure everyone here can agree. He joined straight out of college, and I personally mentored him from a brand new intern all the way to a fully capable project director. I handed him top-tier resources, full operational authority, and the broadest possible development platform. The company held him in high regard, and we just finalized a promotion plan to name him head of the new IoT business division with an $800,000 annual salary. And how does he repay this company that nurtured him? Driven solely by higher pay and fancier job titles, he's willing to stab the company that raised him in the back, even rallying his entire team to betray us alongside him. This greedy, ungrateful, backstabbing behavior is utterly shameful and despicable. Mark spoke with fiery, dramatic outrage, painting himself as a wronged mentor and Ethan as an ungrateful, money-hungry villain. His goal was to completely ruin Ethan's professional reputation in front of all staff. So even after resigning, Ethan would face constant industry gossip and stigma. Several younger team members' faces flushed bright red with rage, their fists clenched tight until their knuckles whitened. Ethan simply shook his head at them, signaling them to stay calm and hold their tempers. Once Mark finished his long, dramatic rant of accusations, Ethan slowly stood to his feet. He didn't rush to fire back with rebuttals, instead bowing deeply to every person seated in the room first. All executives and colleagues, I apologize for taking up your valuable work time today. His voice remained soft yet crystal clear, carrying a steady calming weight. I've worked at Horizon Group for 5 full years. I grew from a clueless rookie to the person I am today, and first and foremost, I'm grateful for the company's training. I've always held that gratitude close to my heart. His humble, sincere opening softened many audience members' initial negative impressions of him. Mark Lee let out a cold huff, thinking Ethan finally knew his place and would back down. But Ethan's next sentence froze Mark's smile solid on his face. Yet gratitude never requires blind, unthinking loyalty. The company helped train me, and I've repaid that investment with 5 years of my youth and blood, sweat, and tears. Over those 5 years, I've led my team to deliver over 30 successful client projects, generating total profits exceeding $100 million for Horizon Group. Most recently, our project brought in $5 million in pure net profit. I'm certain our finance director here can confirm that exact figure far better than I can. Every single sacrifice our team made to pull this off is something all fellow tech department staff here witnessed firsthand. We logged 300 straight days of overtime shifts, averaging over 14 working hours daily, and not a single person ever complained once. We kept pushing forward because we trusted the company would reward every hard-working member fairly. We trusted the 10% profit bonus split Mr. Mark personally promised at the project kickoff meeting would be delivered in full. Ethan's gaze sharpened into a sharp blade aimed straight at Mark Lee. But what was the reality we received? After we sacrificed everything to generate $5 million in profit for this company, Mr. Mark handed me a thin red envelope holding only $5,000. Then he brushed off all our blood and sweat with a single casual line. Young people need to think bigger. I'd like to ask you, Mr. Mark, how exactly are we supposed to widen our horizons under these circumstances?